Welcome and hello to a new episode of Short Comic Introduction. Today we have another first impression, and this time from a comic that's from the horror genre, something I'm not that often doing. And before we start, just a fair warning, this comic has a lot of mature content, a lot of violence, and maybe some themes that some people may have problems with. So before you go into this, just remember this, and for the rest, let's start with Ascendance by Savannah Palazini. The comic started in March 2015, but like I said, this is first impression because we aren't that far into the comic. Only the third chapter only started, and the story has this, or let's say this way, we don't have a direct story at the moment, but the overall outline you can say is the stories are about the souls that reside in purgatory, and to earn their redemption, they have to take on different tasks. Now, what I really kind of liked when I started this comic is it has this feel of an anthology story, because all the three chapters are from different views, different characters, and I'm a sucker for this. So yeah, if you start reading this, it's really interesting to see these different point of views. One thing, or let's say this way, I have to be honest. After reading the first chapter, I wasn't sure if I will continue this story. This hasn't to do anything that I think it's bad. On the contrary, I think the first chapter is really done great. I love the dark tone. I love the way the characters interact. I really love this whole demonic scenery that is there. All these details. It's absolutely. I think it's done brilliantly. But the problem for me was there was something missing for me personally. So don't get me wrong. Like I said, this first chapter is done really great. But I wasn't sure if there's really something that really hooks me personally. So yeah, I wasn't really sure, but because there aren't that many pages, I thought, yeah, let's check out the second chapter. And this is where this whole thing got interesting for me, because like I said, the first chapter was in this demonic world, and the second one just started somewhere in a modern city. You don't know where, but somewhere in the underground. And yeah, that's the only thing you saw was someone sitting there, a kid playing, and someone, let's say, talking very angrily into the phone. And what happened then changed my view of this whole comic, because we got our first glimpse in one of the main characters, or I hope one of the main characters, because this character called Lucy, I can't say how much I love this character. We don't know much about this one, but she is brilliant. I have to say, she's brilliantly written, because the way we don't know much about her, but she has just the character itself. Let's say it this way. I'm normally really a sucker for characters that have really great backstories, or have really different or really complex characteristics and so on. Here we have a character we know really nothing about, but just with some small design choices, the way the character interacts with someone, and some of the things she has on her, like her pen and what she's saying. I have to say, I really love it. She has this kind of attitude. Don't fuck with me, but I do what I have to do, and let's say it this way. I don't want to spoil much about this character, but she is. I have to say, she is. If you see her, you know what I mean. She is absolutely. She doesn't give a shit, but the way she's portrayed, how she interacts with everything in this case. Again, I really love her for that, and I want to know more about her, because at the end of the chapter there was one small scene where she she was just looking there. It was just a character there in the panel and nothing more. But just the way she was looking and the reaction she had at the end told me that there is a little bit more about the character, and there might be a little bit more we will see in the future. And I really, really hope that, because again, this is a very good example how to create a unique character with only small details. You don't need to write a whole essay about the character so that someone thinks you have a very deep meaning character. But if you just give a character specific details, you can make a unique character that will stay in your head. And I have to say, this is really done brilliantly in this case. Again, I don't want to spoil too much about this, but believe me when I say this is a very fun chapter when she appears and when she interacts. It's a really crazy ride. And the same can be said about the third chapter character. It's a knight, and I think I have seen that his name is Jack somewhere. I haven't seen that the name was spelled out in the comic, but I think I saw it somewhere on her Deviant page. And again, we have a character we don't know anything about it. He appears there. He does this hunting thing. He does in this case, and we are now in the fighting scene. And the way the fighting scene is introduced to us, it's absolutely brilliant, because it's a character. This character it's not the same like Lucy, but again, we have a character with just small details that are there that makes him very unique for a story, and you will remember him because the way he is interacting in just these few pages makes him really a lot of interesting. I think some people might think it's a little bit boring, but to be honest, sometimes you need these kind of let's say these kind of characters to make a story really work. I think many writers try too hard with their characters, and in this case, I have to applaud Savannah Palazini, because she's doing the right thing. She's trying to tell a tale, but without telling too much, and just concentrating on the main on main details of these characters, and maybe coming up with some other things in the future. But for the moment, just we have only this one chapter, only these few pages, and the character will stuck with you in so many ways. And in these two chapters, I will say the first chapter the same. I hadn't the same feeling for the character than for the characters in chapter 2 and 3, but I think you can say the same about these characters in the first chapter. So I would say she is really great with it. I know I'm saying a lot about characters, but for me, mostly the characters do do the story. Let's say it this way, because you're following them from the beginning to the end. And yes, you can have a very outlandish story in so many ways, but if you don't care for the characters, you can have one of the best stories of all time, but you won't care for it because you won't care for the characters and you won't follow them in so many ways. So again, I know I sound like a broken record, but this is again a very great example how to do great characters and how to do characters without big details, let's say it this way. But also I have to say, the art of the whole comic is absolutely brilliant and fantastic. The amount of details in some of the panels is freaking awesome. The whole first chapter is absolutely gorgeous. This whole, like I said, this whole demonic world with all these details, all these skulls, all these demon kind characters, and later also the design of the demons themselves. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely, it has this really unique feel to it. We have a story. We have a unique design for them, and also the same can be said to the characters. All the characters have their very unique design, there you will see them, you will know who they are, and I never had the feeling that in this comic the artist went a shortcut and just did something and just copy and paste something. Everything looked really like every part of it is its own unique part and own unique drawn part. So definitely a very, very great black and white art style. And one thing I really have to say, after seeing the comic, one thing I fell in love with was the banner art for 2017. If there's a possibility, I would love to see that as a wallpaper. That's seeing the character Lucy with this demonic like dog. It's freaking awesome in color, in the way it's framed. It's a freaking amazing piece of art. And also I have to say, some of the other art pieces on the artist's Deviantart page, definitely check them out. I really have to say I'm really surprised about this comic. I didn't know it existed. I only found it because I was checking out some of the things that were said over my Final Light video. And I'm really, really happy I have found this one. And even if I'm not the biggest fan of these really high horror kind of or horror genre comics, this one I'm really glad I found it. I'm just because of these characters, and I'm really looking forward what's coming. And I really hope this one it has so much potential that I really hope we will see more of this in the future. And I hope a lot of people will find this one. It's really one, even if it's a very violent one, I would say definitely check it out. And if you like it, there are many ways to support the artist. Like always, comment, vote. He has an own shop. You can try. I will leave the link down below. And yeah, that's everything for me to say about this one. Check it out if you're a fan of horror comics, if you're like crazy storylines, if you're let's say a little bit more chaotic stories with horror themes. Check it out, you won't regret it, I can tell you that. So thanks for watching, and see you soon in one of the next episodes. Goodbye.